Hello? Can you guys hear me now? Uh, let's see if it's working now. Let's see. It's working. Oh, thank God. Okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was wrong with that first stream. It's typical, right? But okay, everyone can hear now. Yay. So let's try that intro again. I always feel like such a dum-dum when I have to like repeat the same thing that I just said, even if you guys haven't heard it, because it just feels like not authentic when I say it the second time, but I guess nobody heard it, so who cares? But hey, house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 27 updates and spoilers. I hope you're all having a happy Labor Day today. I've been working on this and my computer hates me apparently, but anyway, our house guests of the day, we have Jimmy Burbank and his adorable kitty cat Mike, who is 3 years old and so precious. We have Jean Wagner. Happy belated birthday to her. She just celebrated her 65th and she just retired. Double amazingness. We hope you're enjoying your retirement so far, Jean. And Carl Van Bergen, who is on his way to becoming a doctor. And we are so proud of him. So thank you all so much for supporting us and for watching along with us. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, send us an email to madrosed@gmail.com and we will get you on the list. Just make sure you put house guest of the day in the subject line. And thank you everybody who still or who emailed the other day when I said like we were running low, because you guys really came through and I appreciate that so much. So thank you. John Yaya says, don't let it bother you. You're still a good host. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so we have a lot to get to. So let's dive in. I'm overwhelmed. So when we left off the other day, the Power of Veto competition had just ended. So a little bit of context going into this. The players were Keanu, the HOH. We had the 3 nominees, Mickey, Morgan, and Vince. And then we had the 2 extra players, Lauren and Kelly. So, and also apparently Kelly was chosen by Keanu, house guest choice style, to play. So going into this competition, Keanu had decided that he wanted Vince to come off the block with the veto. He realized if Vince stays up there for the vote, he might not have the votes to stay. And he doesn't actually want Vince to go this week. He only put Vince up on the block to teach him a lesson. I feel like we're watching Arrested Development and like the dad pays his friend with the prosthetic arm to like teach his kids lessons all the time. And then they try to get back at him by using the same guy to teach a lesson. And it gets very messy, but like, I think that Keanu could stand to learn a few lessons as well. I don't think he learned from the lesson that he's trying to teach. But anyway, Lauren and Kelly had both agreed that they would use the veto on Vince if they were to win. However, Kelly was telling Lauren, we should only say that we're going to do it if Keanu promises to put up Rachel as the replacement nominee. Because Keanu had been saying that Ashley would be the replacement, and Kelly's like, no, F that. Like, we should be going for the big fish. Why just go for Ashley if we could go for Rachel? Yeah, Holly M says always leave a note. So funny. So going into this competition, also 4 out of 6 of the players were basically playing for Vince to come off the block. 4 out of 6 would presumably use the veto on Vince. So Keanu and Vince were both so giddy because they were like, oh my God, we're definitely going to get what we want. We have such good odds here. And we'll see how that works out for them. But Angela was the host. Angela from last season was the host of the competition. Yay! It had a charcuterie theme. And it sounds like it was the competition where they have like all these differently shaped pieces and they have to stack them up on top of each other. And we find out that Morgan won the Power Veto. Hey, this is her first competition win. She was so freaking pumped because she was really kind of like embarrassed that she hadn't won a competition yet. So she's feeling it right now. She's excited. It's also exciting for me because she is one of the 2 people who was not playing for Vince. You know, the odds were stacked against her and Mickey, But here comes Morgan with that comp win. As long as Morgan uses the veto on herself and not Vince, right? Because that would be really bad. Too much. But anyway, after the competition, Ava is chatting with Keanu in the HOH room. And Keanu says, I'm not planning on putting you up on the block, Ava. And she's relieved to hear that because she thought, there was a good chance that she'd be going up as the replacement nominee. So Keanu makes it known, I want Vince to stay this week. And he's asking Ava, how close are you to Ashley? No reason. I mean, he's probably going to be putting Ashley up on the block, right? He feels pretty confident that if the vote comes down to Mickey versus Vince, Mickey would go. But if it's going to be Ashley versus Vince for the vote, that could be close. Vince could be leaving, and Keanu doesn't want that. So he is trying to lock in Ava's vote for Vince to stay. And Ava does not have an answer for him at this time. She tells him, I will think about it. I'm close to Will. Will is close to Ashley. So it would be really hard for me to justify to Will why I'd be voting Ashley out and not Vince. So I got to think about it. Okay. So meanwhile, Rachel, Will, Ashley, and Mickey are chatting in the have not room. And Rachel is really wanting to see if she can get Keanu to put Lauren up as the replacement nominee. Ashley is skeptical, as she should be. She doesn't see Keanu putting up his own number, especially this week with what he's trying to push. I put Vince up on the block to punish him. I got to teach him a lesson that you shouldn't be putting up your own allies, which is funny that the punishment was doing the exact same thing. And I'm you're punishing yourself though. So not the smartest, but, yeah, Ashley doesn't think that Keanu would put Lauren up. And Rachel says, I don't know. Crazier things have happened. We got Riley out. We never would have thought we could actually do that. So she says, let's at least try, because the alternative would be one of us or Ava going up. And that's not good, right? That's not going to help us. So Rachel is going to start this process by making Keanu's favorite lasagna. Maybe she can get through to him with that. I mean, it's a start, right? It's a start. So a little later, Ava tells Will about her chat with Keanu. And Ava says, long story short, he wants to keep us safe this week. Yay. But he wants me to vote for Vinny to stay if it's Vinny versus Ashley on the block. And I told him I need to think about that. So Will is like, Ava, you tell Keanu whatever he needs to hear for now, just to keep us off the block. We got to make sure we make it through this POV ceremony, and then we'll work through it. We'll figure out how we're going to vote. We have until Thursday to decide how we would vote. So just tell him what he wants to hear. I mean, that's the move, right? Then we have Keanu and Vince chatting, and Keanu says, I want to manufacture you staying no matter what. The manufacture thing was really weird because he kept using that phrase. I want to manufacture you staying here. And I guess he means he wanted to make sure it happens and build things up so that happens. But it just sounded so weird to me. Very, very strange. But Keanu's talking about how he's already trying to work on getting Ava's vote and locking it in for Vince to stay. But Keanu admits he's feeling really foolish right now, as he should. He said, I wanted to make a statement by putting you up on the block this week, by showing people don't mistake my kindness for weakness, all that good stuff. But he says, I also don't want my friend to go home. Maybe that'll teach you not to put people up that you don't actually want to leave. It's a little ridiculous. But Keanu says, at least I know you're never going to put up one of our people as a pawn again. So they're both laughing about this. And Vince is like, effing never. Message received. I'll never do that again. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. So Vince is going over what votes he would have if he stays up on the block. So he says, okay, Morgan, Lauren, Kelly, that's 3. He's still going to need one more. And they're realizing, again, Ava is probably Vince's only other potential vote, because he's like, Rachel's never going to vote for me. Will is never going to vote for me. Like, he's limited, right, in his vote options. So gonna have to focus on Ava there. Then Vince is like, but if it was Morgan still up on the block and not me, she would probably have the votes to stay. So they start wondering, is there any chance that Morgan would use the veto on Vince instead of herself? We knew that this was going to happen, right? We knew that Keanu and Vince were going to try and make a push to get Morgan to use the veto on Vince instead of on herself, which is insane. It is honestly insulting, but you know they're going to do it. So they say, like, oh my God, it'd be such good TV. It would be an America's favorite player type of move. Would it be good TV? Yeah, but it would also be really dumb TV, and it would not make me want to vote for Morgan to win America's favorite. No. So Vince says, I would feel really guilty asking Morgan to do that for me. But if you want to talk to her about it, of course, only if she feels comfortable with it. Vince also says, just don't let Morgan know that you and I ever discussed this. I don't want her to think that I told you to ask her. What a freaking weasel! He really is a weasel. There is not a better word to describe him. I mean, there probably is, but I wouldn't be saying it on the internet. But yeah, very weaselly. He wants Keanu to do his dirty work and try to get Morgan to use the veto on him. So Keanu's like, yeah, I'm going to talk to Morgan. I'm going to tell her to bring that bag of M&Ms upstairs. We're going to like work on all the options. All right, well, we'll get there. So after Morgan and Vince are chatting in the have-not room, and Morgan, she's on cloud 9, right? She feels wonderful that she was able to win this veto and save herself. So Morgan's talking about how she willed herself to win the veto competition. And like, you could just see the jealousy on Vince's face. He was having a really hard time pretending to be happy for Morgan. So he starts getting all mopey again. And Morgan is trying to snap him out of it. She's like, don't even start. You are going to be here. You're going to win the blockbuster. You are smarter than people understand. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. You're built different. You have the capability of winning anything you want to. And she tells him, I believe in you. You have to believe in yourself. And she also tells him, if I wasn't on the block, I'd be using this thing on you 10 times over. Yeah, Morgan, use it on yourself. It's crazy that we have to like question if she would use the veto on herself, but like it is a question mark. Okay, so Ava and Will chat again about the vote. And Will is encouraging her to just, again, tell Keanu what he needs to hear so that she doesn't go up on the block. And then you can vote however you want. So Ava says, if it is Mickey versus Vince, she says, I'm voting out Mickey. Sorry, I know that you really like her, Will, but I want that bitch out now. Uh-oh. Yeah, she really doesn't like Mickey. She is not happy with Mickey. So Ava says, I don't give an F. I don't want to live with Mickey in the jury house. And she says, Rachel knows how to make wings too. So we don't need Mickey there to make us wings. And she says, however, if it is Ashley versus Vince on the block, she says she will be keeping Ashley. And this is kind of surprising to me because Ava is really like up and down with Ashley as well. I don't know. I guess she's up with her right now, but she's thinking about like how she's going to explain this to Keanu. And she was basically thinking, I'm going to say Ashley, sure, she's a gossip, but she is the devil that we know. And there's no telling what Vince would do. I mean, look at what happened. Lauren used the veto on him, and then he put up Lauren's best friend. Like, what kind of ally is that? So yeah, she's not wanting to keep Vince. She says, Vinny, the mother effing lip, he can talk himself out of hell. I mean, she's seen it happen, right? Remember how pissed she was when Lauren used the veto on him and he was able to talk himself out of that? So, yeah, she sees what he's up to. But a little later, Rachel and Keanu are chatting in the gym, and Keanu says he has two options for the renom that he's considering. What? Oh, sorry, my husband just texted and I wanted to make sure it wasn't an emergency. Okay, so he has two options that he's considering. They are Ava and Ashley. Imagine there was someone in the house named Ava. So Rachel's like, you do want Vince to stay, right? Like that's what you've been saying. Because if he's up against Ava or Ashley, he's gonna go. So Keanu's like, well, I would like him to stay, but I know that there's a possibility he'd go, and that'd be unfortunate. So he's really trying to play it like, oh, I don't care if he goes, but he definitely does. So Keanu says, are you asking me if I'm considering putting you up on the block? And Rachel says, no. I don't think that's what she was asking him at all. But Keanu says, I don't plan on putting you up for the rest of this game. I'm not even going to pitch you going up for the rest of this game. We'll see. And he says the only way for me to guarantee that Vince stays would be to put you up because you are a bigger target. People will vote you out. But he says, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to you. Oh, my hero. All right. So Rachel has an interesting idea for Keanu. She suggests Lauren going up on the block as the renom. And she's like, would you do it if I could guarantee that Lauren would go home? And Keanu says, well, it's something to think about if you are saying the votes are really there to take her out. But he's also like, I don't see myself doing that because that would be the exact opposite of the message that I was trying to send by putting Vince up in the first place. Yeah. If he was trying to like make an example of Vince for taking out his own numbers and then he also takes out his own numbers, which I mean, he might very well do with Vince anyway. That would be pretty bad. But Keanu says that would be a lateral move for me. I would be trading one ally for another. And Rachel's like, okay, but counterpoint, if you put up Ashley, Vince might go. Like there's a really good chance that he will go. So Rachel, again, is making the case for Lauren to go up. She says Lauren is a strong competitor. She's indecisive, so she's not going to be great on the jury. And this is the last week before the jury starts. So one more person not making the jury. And she's also asking Keanu, who do you think she's actually loyal to in this game? Do you really think if she wins HOH, she won't put you up? I don't think she would put Keanu up, but maybe I'm dumb. I don't know. Maybe my brain's fried. But I feel like Lauren would want to go after Rachel and company, right? So Keanu is saying, like, some of this is true. I get it. And at the end of the conversation, he's like, thanks for the mind F. So after, Keanu checks in with Vince again. And Keanu is spilling about Rachel's pitch for Lauren to go up. And he says, Rachel and all them would vote Lauren out because they don't want her on the jury. And Vince does not seem to mind the idea of potentially sacrificing Lauren. I mean, he doesn't really seem upset about it at all. This girl saved him with the veto. I know Vince wants to stay, but damn. So Keanu says, again, if I put Lauren up on the block, that is totally going to defeat the purpose of why I put you up in the first place. So Keanu brings up also Ava and Lauren, they're pretty close. And Ava is not going to want Lauren to go. So he says, maybe I can use the threat of Lauren potentially going up to get Ava to promise to vote to keep you if Ashley goes up instead. This seems really, this seems really dumb. Ava, I don't see taking kindly to threats because, say he's like, all right, I'm going to put up Lauren unless you agree to vote to keep Vince. So, okay, he doesn't put up Lauren, and then why would Ava do what he wants? She's not like bound to follow through on that. So she can just vote how she wants. I don't know. It just seems dumb to me. So anyway, Keanu is then like, what if I do some grimy shit though? Keanu brings up that he could tell Morgan if she uses the veto on Vince, he will put up Lauren and Lauren would go out. But then when it comes time to actually make the replacement nominee, he'd pull a little switcheroo and put Ashley up instead. Remember a few days ago when Keanu got his HOH letter from his mom and she was telling him to like remember his integrity and like be a good person, don't lie, blah, 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 all that stuff. And he felt guilty about trying to betray Rachel last week. Now he's ready to do some real dirty shit. But Vince is excited by this. He's like, well, that's a play. Are they playing a separate game to see who can piss off the most people at once? Because they're doing a good job of that. I mean, they're trying to pull one over on Morgan and they expect her to like still work with them. That's wild. Keanu makes it clear he does not actually want to put Lauren up on the block, but he would be down to use, well, depending on who you're talking to, either the promise of Lauren going up or the threat of Lauren going up as leverage. And he also tells Vince, as far as not wanting to actually put Lauren up, no offense, but I would rather have you go home than me having to go back on shit and put Lauren up on the block, even though that would go against what I'm trying to do here. So like he would rather just lose Vince than have to go back on his statement that he's made. All right. So yeah, not long after that, Keanu was chatting with Lauren and Keanu lets her know, you have never been a consideration for me to put up on the block. He did, not long before this, tell both her and Kelly that Rachel was suggesting Lauren as the renom. So he's really trying to throw Rachel under the bus here, which again, like he said, he's not going to betray her. Here he goes again on his own. It's just wild the way he swings back and forth so quickly. But Lauren is telling Keanu, I would not put you up if I win HOH. Oh, God. I would not survive another Lauren HOH. I barely survived her winning that veto. Like, I can't do another Lauren HOH. But she's also kind of like sucking up to Keanu a little bit, talking about like what their duo nickname could be if they mash their names together. Low key, kilo, whatever. I don't know. But Keanu's like, yeah, secret duo. So cool. A side note with this whole storyline, Kelly also let Vince know that Keanu spilled about Rachel's plan for Lauren to go up on the block. And you could just see Vince dying on the inside because I think he was actually banking on Lauren potentially going up as the replacement nominee. He was seeing that as an out for himself. And now that Keanu has spilled this to Lauren and Kelly and God knows who else, he's like, all right, well, that's not happening. Great. Okay, so the judges finally all met together in the wine lounge on Saturday night. And Vince says, I think the only way that I stay safe is if Lauren goes up on the block. But he's like, I don't think Keanu's going to do that because, again, it would go against everything that Keanu was saying this week. But he says, who's more important? Who's more important to Keanu? Oh, geez. He's really just ready to throw Lauren in the garbage. It's crazy. But Morgan and Vince are asking Rachel, please talk to Keanu about it. Maybe he'll listen to you. We'll see. So Vince was also telling Ashley, if you go up on the block, we really need to make sure that one of us wins the blockbuster so that Mickey will go. And at one point in this conversation, Ashley told Vince point blank, if we're up on that block together, you don't have the votes to stay. I'm going to stay over you. Damn, girl. People are not holding back this week. I feel like it's the real world and people stop being polite. But, yeah, she told him straight up, you're going to go home if you're up against me. I hope that's true. But Morgan is saying that she would like to talk to Keanu and go through all the options. Oh, boy. We'll get to that. But Rachel then talked to Keanu after this, and she's really trying to keep Ashley off the block here. But Keanu seems pretty set on putting her up. And Rachel made it a point to be like, if you put Ashley up, you're going to piss me off. I'm not going to be happy with you. And he was like, oh, you're going to come after me if I do that? And she was like, that's not what I'm saying, but yes. No, she doesn't say yes, but she's like, I'm not going to be happy about it. It's going to be like you're taking a shot at me. So Keanu says, if Ashley goes up, she's going to stay no matter what. So, like, what are you going to be mad about? Just because she's going up on the block? I told you that was a possibility. And again, this is hilarious because right after Keanu won HOH, he told Ashley that he wanted to work with her and Rachel. She wasn't going up. If she worked with them, she'd have 2 weeks of safety because they would both be targets in front of her, like all this stuff. And he's just going to flush it down the drain. But Keanu also says if Vince goes, he goes. It's up to him to stay this week. I'm not going to like make this, I'm not going to wreck my game to make this easy for him or whatever. So later, Ashley chats with Keanu. And at this point, she knows she is being considered heavily to go up on the block. Rachel let her know it's not looking good. So this conversation between Ashley and Keanu was uncomfy. Keanu was being very like, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say like flippant, like acting like he didn't really care. But he was telling Ashley, if you go up on the block, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to be leaving, so it's going to be fine. And Ashley was like, yeah, I know. I'm not going anywhere. But if you put me up on the block, I will take that as a shot at me. You don't put your ally in jeopardy. Keanu is still learning that concept, clearly. But also, he doesn't really consider Ashley an ally. I'm pretty sure when he was trying to offer her the olive branch, he was just trying to suck up to Rachel, right? But he doesn't actually consider Ashley an ally. So Keanu tells Ashley, I have a feeling if you won HOH this week, I would have been your fourth nominee if someone won the veto. So it's only fair that you would be my fourth nominee. And Ashley is like, maybe. But she says, if you do not put me up on the block, you would not be one of my initial nominees moving forward, right? Next week if I win. But if you do put me up, you would be one of my nominees. Also, I would not be a vote for you to stay in the future if you were up on the block and I wasn't. She was also saying, if you put me up, Rachel's going to be mad at you. So that could be 2 votes that you're losing. So Keanu's like, oh, what? So if I put you up, you're threatening me? And Ashley's like, I'm not threatening you, but I'm just laying out the facts. I mean, she's kind of threatening him, but in game ways, right? So, I mean, I think it's very valid to say if you put me up, like, I'm going to target you in the future. I think that's fair. But Keanu also accuses her of being hostile. And Ashley's like, no, but like, you can't expect me to be all sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't annoyed right now. Again, I think that's like a valid reaction, right? But Keanu is Keanu. So let's talk about Sunday, because that was all Saturday night. All right, Sunday. Kelly learned about how live feeds work. On day 54? What the frig? So, like, Lauren was saying, like, oh, I wonder if my family's watching live feeds right now. And Kelly was like, can people watching live feeds hear our conversations? And Lauren's like, yeah, well, like, we're wearing microphones. And Kelly seemed to think that they could only be heard if they were, like, standing near a camera or something. And Vince is like, no, live feeds are just, like, all these, all these conversations, just, like, casual conversations, whatever. And Kelly's like, oh, I didn't know how lives worked. Oh, my God. Honestly, she seemed a bit spooked after that. I think Kelly was under the impression that we haven't been hearing all the shit she's been talking. Absolutely wild to me, because she is not the first person this season that did not have a good grasp about how live feeds work. Do these people really do like zero research before they come on the show? She had no idea. Riley seemed to have no idea. Zay seemed to have no idea. Zach seemed to have no idea. I don't get it. It's insane to me. But anyway, I feel like Kelly also has been acting a little bit differently ever since she learned that. She's been trying to be all like, now that she knows, we're seeing and hearing what's going on in there. But we've seen and heard all we need to. So another fun thing yesterday, this is insane. Mickey was wearing a crocheted hat and it had like some cute little flower granny squares on it. And Rachel was like, oh, cute hat. And Mickey said, yeah, this is by T-Core Couture. And Rachel was like, oh, like T-Core from last season? And Mickey was like, yeah, and I've been supporting her since before she was on the show. She's an Atlanta girly. I love to support small businesses, blah, 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 whatever, which is great. But like, was it made by T-Core? Because there was a lot of speculation online. People were like, I've never seen anything like that on T-Core's website. Also, it looked a lot like a hat that was on, is it pronounced Shein? I always thought it was Shine, but apparently it's Shein or Temu or whatever. Which, here's the thing, like they have stolen so many designs from other people. So it's not out of the question to say like, oh, maybe T-Core did make it and then they stole the design. It's also like not that crazy of a design. It's just like flower granny squares, but whatever. So everyone on the internet was like, what's going on here? And then today, Chelsea, last season's winner, was posting about how T-Core sent her a voice memo saying that is not one of her hats. So why is Mickey lying about this? That's such a weird thing for her to lie about. I don't know if she's just trying to promote T-Core's business or like make it seem like she's got an in with a Big Brother alum. I don't know, but it's such a weird thing to lie about. But there we are with that. So back to the game. Keanu let Ava know. Also, guys, please don't buy crochet stuff from websites like Temu or Shein, Shine, whatever, because the people that are making those items are not being paid a fair wage, most likely. You cannot make crochet with a machine. So that's just like real people making those things. And if they're selling them for like anything, I mean, like a lot of that stuff will go on those websites for like $10 or less. They are not being paid a fair wage. So yeah, it's not good. But anyway, back to the game. Keanu is letting Ava know that people have been pitching for her to go up, like Ashley, Mickey, Morgan. He says they all think that you're expendable, so you should work with me. You should vote to keep Vince this week. He's really hoping that he's going to be able to lock in that vote for Vince to stay. But I mean, the way that he keeps bringing this up to Ava and then also saying, like, I need you to vote for Vince, it's very sus. So, yeah. I don't know how much Ava actually believes him, but we'll get into that more. So later, Keanu checks in with Lauren, and he lets her know he is in fact moving forward with his plan to try to get Morgan to use the veto on Vince. So he tells Lauren, if you hear your name, yes, I am saying it. I'm putting it out there, but I would actually put up Ashley, not you. So Keanu says, Morgan, she might take the bait because she doesn't want you on the jury. None of that group want you on the jury because they said that you're indecisive. It's so funny to me, too, how Lauren reacts like every time she hears these accusations about her being indecisive because, like, the self-awareness is just not there. But anyway, yeah, Keanu says, I am going to tell Morgan that I am trading you to lock in with Morgan and Vince. I'm trading 1 for 2. I'm trading 2 for 1. But he tells her, again, I'm not actually going to do it. As soon as Morgan puts that veto necklace around Vince's neck, I'm going to be like, Ashley, take a seat. There's no way that Morgan actually goes for this, right? So later, Morgan is in the HOH room with Keanu. She's got her bag of M&Ms. Let me hydrate before we do this. So Keanu is asking Morgan, how do you feel about Lauren? Sound the alarm. So Keanu's asking her how she feels about Lauren. He's trying to lay the groundwork here. And Morgan says, well, Lauren is close to Vince, but that is so loud. Lauren also voted for me to go a few weeks ago, and she didn't warn me ahead of time that she was going to do that. So Morgan is not happy with Lauren. We know this. So Keanu starts floating the idea of Lauren going up as the replacement nominee. And Keanu is asking Morgan, would you consider using the veto on Vince instead of on yourself? Because you would have the votes to stay against Lauren. And Morgan's like, oh, I'd be so pissed if Vinny went home this week. And Keanu says, me too, honestly. Then why'd you put him up? But he says, I can't trade 1 for 1. Basically saying, if you use the veto on yourself, I'm not putting Lauren up, because then I'm going to be trading in Lauren for Vince, and I don't want to do that. But he says, I would trade 2 for 1, because if I take out Lauren, I could be getting you and Vince locked in to work with me. So Morgan's like, I'm going to use the veto on myself, but let's just entertain it. Why not? Like, what else are we doing? We got all this time. So Morgan is kind of, running some scenarios, and she's like, well, I would stay if I'm up against Mickey or Lauren. But she says Lauren would go home against Vince too. So, like, why not just I take myself down and then Lauren goes up? But Keanu's like, oh, I don't want to trade 1 for 1. I don't want to trade 1 for 1. So Keanu says to Morgan, if you do this, you might be getting America's favorite player. No, she would go down in history as one of the dumbest players, or somebody who made the dumbest move. So Morgan says she's legit going to think about this. She says, this is juicy. This can be really good. Keanu is promising that Lauren would go up in Vince's place and Morgan would stay no matter what. He says, this would be some gangster shit. No, this would be some dumb shit. So Morgan leaves briefly, and Keanu's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is actually a consideration. Yo, this is hilarious. This is amazing. So then Morgan comes back in, and Keanu leaves to go get Vince. And Morgan's talking to the cameras, and she's like, oh my God, what? Bro. She says, do you know how good it felt to win that veto? I mean, I think Keanu does. But she says, knowing that I saved myself, and then he wants me to use it on Vinny, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I'm liking where this is going for Morgan. So then Vince, Keanu, and Morgan are chatting. And Morgan takes Vince's hand. She's like, I hope you're strapped in. She takes his hand and she's like, okay, this isn't happening, but we're going over options. It better not be happening. But they discuss the possibility of Morgan using the veto on Vince, and then Lauren goes up in his place, and Vince is acting like this is the first time he's hearing about this. So he's like, oh my God, you'd actually consider that? And you'd be comfortable with it? And Morgan's like, comfortable is a stretch. I don't know about that. So Vince is like, I don't understand. Like, how did we get to this point? This is my dream. I've been wanting the 3 of us to work together, to all be on the same page. This is amazing. He says, we'd be an insane force to be reckoned with. And Keanu's like, yeah, plus we'd have Kelly. Like, we could be a 4. Oh my goodness, what is going on out there? I hope everybody's okay. But, yeah, he says that we could be a 4. Ashley is not going to be mad because she won't go up on the block. Vince says everyone's going to be happy if Morgan does this. I think there's some people who'd be upset. But he says, Morgan, everyone's going to be happy. Even Rachel would rather have me in the jury over Lauren. She's going to be happy. I cannot believe the way that Vince is lying to Morgan's face in this moment. He knows that Lauren would not be going up as replacement. Ashley would. And Morgan would be in so much danger if she chose to use the veto on Vince over herself. How do any of her allies justify keeping her at that point? If she is so connected to Vince that she leaves herself up on the block and uses it on him instead, you can't work with somebody like that. So I feel like at that point, they definitely vote Morgan out, right? That's insane. So yeah, Vince is willing to risk Morgan like that. So, and lie to her, which is also insane again. But Morgan is asking, will Lauren go up on the block no matter what? If I use it on myself or if I use it on Vince? And Keanu says, no. If you use it on yourself, Ashley goes up. Because again, I won't trade 1 for 1, but I will trade 2 for 1. So Vince is like, also, I'd be so nervous if I was on the block against Ashley. I can't with the guilt tripping. But like, Keanu saying that if Morgan uses it on herself, Ashley goes up, but like the other way, Lauren goes up, that's a huge red flag. Also, Keanu telling her, like, don't tell anyone about this, just do it. That's also a red flag. That's insane. So Morgan is saying she'll think about it. She needs to check if her potential votes are locked first. She needs to know that she's going to be safe if she stays up on the block. Oh my God, Morgan, you're killing me. So after Vince is talking to Morgan and he's like, should we run this plan by the judges? And Morgan's like, I don't know. Are you willing to burn Keanu again? And Vince says, well, I've chosen you every single time in this game, and I would do it every time moving forward. Boo! He's a liar. He's such a liar. So, yeah, it's just wild to me the way he's lying to Morgan like this. He knows he's not being honest. So, Morgan, gets to work running the numbers with the M&Ms. And she says to herself, the whole point of this move would be to save the judges. So Vince joins her eventually. And Morgan's asking, what's the plan here? Would you rather rock with Keanu or rock with the judges? Like, what are we doing? And Vince is like, what do we have to pick? So he's like, oh yeah, I guess if we win HOH, like we'd have to pick. We'd have to pick one side or the other. So again, red flag. So Morgan says this move only benefits us if Ashley does not see the block. If Ashley goes up, this is effed. So Morgan eventually asks, what if I use the veto on you and then Keanu burns me and still puts Ashley up? What if? And Vince is like, oh, well, I think if he burns you, he throws his entire game in the trash. I don't know why he would do that. Oh, you are bad. You're bad. So Morgan says Keanu really should be putting Lauren up either way. It just doesn't make sense that he wouldn't do that in both situations. Put the pieces together, girl. Put it together. So, yeah, some more stuff from last night. Keanu told Ava again that everyone has been pitching for her to go. He is pushing for her to keep Vince this week. Again, I'm not sure how much she trusts what Keanu is telling her, because she's already been like about Keanu for a long time. I mean, she put him up on the block in the past. He yelled at her, whatever. She yelled at him. I don't know, whatever. So she's not sure if she can trust this information. So Rachel also was really still trying to keep Ashley off the block. So she proposed a new alliance to Keanu. She said, what if me, you, Vince, and Morgan form a 4? And she says, Vince would have to be here for that to work. And why don't you put up Lauren? Because if Lauren goes up, that'll guarantee that Vince stays. So Keanu pretty much saw through what she was trying to do. He was like, oh, that's why you're proposing this alliance, because you want Lauren on the block. I mean, that is what she was doing, right? Yeah. So that really didn't come to fruition. But Morgan also throughout the night was running the veto plan by a few different people. Ashley and Rachel were both telling her, I don't think you should do this. Number one, you can't trust that Keanu would actually follow through and put Lauren up on the block. He's not rational. Also, number two, you were Keanu's number one target this week. So, like, why do you think he's going to do this? Like, if you're on the block, you're in trouble. So don't be doing this. Vince, of course, was putting the pressure on. Lots of long hugs shared between the two of them last night. Very long hugs. But by the end of the night, Morgan had decided she's got to just use this veto on herself. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It should not have been that hard of a decision. It really shouldn't have. But she really was just weirded out by the fact that Keanu would not put Lauren up no matter who she used the veto on. So she was like, something's fishy here. I can't do it. I can't trust Keanu. So she's using the veto on herself. All right. So now this morning, there's been some drama already. First of all, before the ceremony, Keanu was still floating the idea of putting Rachel up as a replacement nominee. He was talking to a few people trying to gauge where their vote would be if he were to put Rachel up. And I think he realized the votes wouldn't be there. But like, dang, this dude forgets things quickly. Again, the HOH letter and how ashamed he was for trying to betray Rachel last week. And now he's thinking about putting her up again. Make it make sense. But also some other drama. Ashley let Rachel know that Keanu has been pushing for Ava to vote to keep Vinny this week. And she lets Rachel know Keanu has been telling Ava that we're against her and we've been, throwing her name out there to go up as the replacement. And she says that's not even true. I mean, it's a little true. I think mostly they were trying to get Lauren up as a replacement nominee. Did they throw Ava out there a few times or kind of suggest Ava? Of course. But they were not really pushing super hard for Ava to be the replacement nominee. Maybe Mickey a little bit, but like Ashley and Rachel, I don't really remember them pushing for Ava that hard, mostly Lauren. So yeah, Ashley says Keanu is trying to turn Ava against us, but she tells Rachel, don't say anything about it. Just be mindful of it. We don't need this blowing up right now. But Rachel is pissed at Keanu. So Rachel checks in with Ava real quick and she's like, I just had to talk to you. I just heard from someone that Keanu told you that I was pitching for you to go up on the block. And I want you to know I would never, ever do that. Keanu is an effing liar. So Ava's like, please don't say anything to him. And she asks Rachel, who did you hear it from? And Rachel says, Mickey. Which is not true. She heard it from Ashley. And Ava's like, oh, that's so weird. Like, I didn't tell Mickey that. Maybe Keanu told Mickey. I don't know. But Ava's telling Rachel, don't worry about it. Like, I know we're good. So, okay, put that on ice for a second. They have the power veto ceremony. Morgan used the veto on herself. That would have been too much. It would have been too much if she used it on Vince. But she uses it on herself. Keanu puts Ashley up in her place. We have Ashley versus Mickey versus Vince up on the block. And it sounds like there were some words exchanged at the ceremony. Sounds like Ashley had some things to say to Keanu. She told him about himself a little bit. She called him a narcissist. I think she also made some comments about the way that he talks to women. Maybe a little misogyny going on there. Good for her, right? Because we've seen it. We've seen it all season. So Keanu's kind of been spiraling a bit today about Ashley's comments, and good, because I think he needs to reflect on that a bit. But after the ceremony, Ava was talking to Will, and she's a bit annoyed right now about how her name has been coming up. She's not sure who's telling the truth in this whole Keanu, Ashley, Rachel, whatever saga. Did they throw out her name or not? She doesn't know. But she says she will be keeping Ashley this week. Okay, I like that. We'll see if she sticks with that throughout the week or if her mind changes. We'll see what other information she gets. But Will says, Keanu might be stirring the pot right now and trying to turn us against each other. Oh, he absolutely is. So, yeah. Also related to this situation, Ashley is talking to Rachel, and Rachel says, I told Ava what you told me. Like, I didn't say that you were the one that said it, but I said, I'm hearing that Keanu is telling you that I wanted you on the block, and that wasn't true. And Ashley is annoyed with Rachel. She did not want Rachel to tell anybody. She made that super clear. And then Rachel went and spilled a little bit, right? She says, I found out about that from Will. So she doesn't want Will to get in trouble with Ava. And she doesn't want Ava knowing how close Ashley is to Will. So, yeah, that's got some potential messiness there. We'll see how that all develops. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we got some Labor Day fireworks. I could totally see another Rachel and Keanu fight coming soon to a gym near you. Their usual fighting location. Because, I mean, Rachel's going to find out eventually that Keanu was considering putting her up. And she also knows that he was trying to turn Ava against her. So she's not going to be happy with him. I'm assuming Big Brother is going to give the house guests some sort of a party later. They usually get to use the grill. They get to listen to some music, have some alcohol. So that's probably going to be happening later for Labor Day. And other than that, we have 3 days left until the eviction. So it should be interesting to see some of the campaigning this week with Ashley, Mickey, and Vince up on the block. So, all right. I want to thank you all so much for being here, especially with the sound issue at the beginning of the stream. And I want to give a special thanks to our super chatters because you guys are amazing. So let's see. No More Rin, thank you so much. And she asks, what do you think as the HOH goes back on his word? You mean like, what do I think about Keanu doing that? I think he's got a really short memory, and it's just showing his allies over and over again that he cannot be trusted. The only person that he's like really loyal to, besides himself, obviously, is Kelly. I feel like everybody else, it's who knows, right? I mean, he's kind of loyal to Lauren at this point, but he's a mess. Keanu is an absolute mess. David Cushmore, thank you so much. David asks, do you think Mickey will be evicted this week? I think there's a chance. I think the order of eviction would be Vince, and then if they can't get Vince, Mickey, and then if they can't get Mickey, well, no, I think Ashley's going to be safe unless Ava flips. I mean, Ava is really important with this vote. She's been important in a lot of votes. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe it's wishful thinking, me wanting Vince out the most. I don't know. But I do feel like he is the most in danger votes wise. I just feel like by the end of the week, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, Vince has to go. Except for like Morgan, Lauren, and Kelly. Right? I mean, they got to realize Vince needs to go if he's still up on that block. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I do think there is, though, a strong chance that it'll be Mickey, depending on who wins the blockbuster. And David also asks, do you see Rachel winning Big Brother again? I could totally see that. I mean, she's going to have a lot of people targeting her now that we're going into the jury phase, unfortunately. But I do think that she is going to... I think she's going to step it up in the competitions now that we're getting closer to the end. There's going to be less people. Plus, like, some of these end... the last third of the competitions have a lot more to do with like days and stuff, which she's been studying really hard. So I think she could win more competitions, keep herself safe. But I do think she has a chance to go really deep in this game and even potentially win. We'll see. I think if she makes it to the end, she's probably going to win because I think people will vote for her. But we'll see. Thank you again. Christopher Brown, thank you so much. Christopher says, Vince's sad sack act is so manipulative in a gross, weird way. I know. We haven't really seen it in Big Brother before. It's embarrassing. Truly a weasel. I'm hoping he goes. Much love to the Madrosed fam. Thanks. Much love right back at you. I agree. I'm embarrassed for him. It's like really bad. I mean, we've seen people try to like guilt trip before, but he really takes it to another level. And it is so like weird to see how quickly he will snap from sad sack when he wants something to like totally happy and giddy when he thinks he's getting his way. So it's very clear how intentional it is. It's just like, ugh, really gross. So thank you again. True Teddy, thank you so much. And they said yesterday's episode, 3 times right before commercial break, they end with Vince/Morgan hug, and they intentionally cut the music off and extended. I think they are trying to show how weird and like long and uncomfortable those hugs are because they were really making it a point to show those. And I mean, like, I can't imagine being one of the other house guests with them and seeing that, knowing about Vince having a girlfriend on the outside and like, yeah, I think production is like, hey, look at this. This is a thing that is happening for sure. God, Usopp, thank you so much for the super chat. And they said, it's hard for me to express what I think about this situation. I don't think Keanu is a raging misogynist. I think he's a gym bro and an idiot. I don't like that they wouldn't have said it. Wait, that they wouldn't have said it if Ava went up. See, this is tough because I feel like I have seen a ton of examples of Keanu having misogynist behavior. I feel like he gives the guys so many more chances than the women, and just the way that he talks to the women, it's very condescending. Um, I mean, look at the whole situation of Rachel trying to tell Keanu that Riley was targeting him and he wouldn't believe her and she was telling the truth, and then Vince is just like, "Yep, you said it." And Vince was lying about it at the time, and Keanu was like, "Oh yeah, I guess so then." Like immediately believing Vince. Yeah, it's not good. Also, there was an incident yesterday. I was either yesterday or Saturday. I can't remember now. But Vince and Keanu were in the HOH room, and they like were talking about Ava and how she's been wearing her hair up. And Vince was like, or not Vince, Keanu was like, "Ooh, she got the hair up. Looks pretty good." And then he was like, "Oh, but like, if only she shaved her armpits." Like basically objectifying her in a really gross way. I didn't appreciate that. A bit misogynistic, if I do say so myself. But yeah, there's been a ton of like examples here and there, and that's not to say that he doesn't respect like his mom and his sisters and all that, but like he's got some tendencies there for sure. So yeah, that's my take on it. But yeah, I'm sure that is also something that Ashley has been thinking for a while, and now that he's put her up on the block, she wanted to get a little retaliation. She wanted to speak her mind since she went up anyway. But yeah. Sean Davis, thank you so much. Sean says, "I'm just ready for this week to be over." Me too. A triple eviction really needs to happen. I'm tired of Keanu eating out of a measuring cup. Yeah, he really loves to eat out of that. He loves to eat his cereal out of the measuring cup because it's got the handle. I've had enough as well. I would love a triple eviction. Even a double would be wonderful, but a triple would be fantastic. Mwah, chef's kiss. Janine Honberger, thank you so much. And Janine says, "Keanu has such a short memory. Waffles are what for for breakfast, lunch, and dinner." I know. Seriously though, with the short memory, just the flip flopping back and forth about whether he's going to target Rachel or not, whether he's going to work with this person, that person. It's too much. Who was the renom? Ashley was the renom. So, all right. I'm going to call it. Thank you all so much for being here. I will see you all tomorrow for the next stream. Thank you if you made it all the way through. You are amazing. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. So until next time, much love. Bye, everybody.